The man and the T-Rex were both stunned. A massive ship suddenly appeared before them, accompanied by several smaller boats heading their way. The people on the small boats used hooks to secure the primitive man's vessel. Mia quickly climbed up the mast, her bow and arrows ready. The T-Rex carefully held the dragon eggs in her mouth. Suddenly, another ship collided with them, and Egyptian soldiers swarmed aboard. However, thanks to the primitive man's combat skills and Mia's precise archery, they easily repelled the first wave of attackers. The second wave was also quickly dealt with. Then, another ship crashed into them from behind, and a giant appeared before them, towering far above the primitive man. With a single punch, the giant knocked the primitive man down. The arrow shot at him had no effect. The T-Rex charged forward to confront the giant, but her attacks couldn't move him. During the battle, the giant accidentally struck the T-Rex, knocking 2 of the dragon eggs out of her mouth. Fortunately, the eggs were unharmed, but the third egg fell and shattered. The primitive man stared in shock at the broken egg, the embryo clearly visible inside. The T-Rex was furious, attacking the giant in a frenzy, but the giant didn't back down and even knocked her down. The primitive man joined the fight again. Mia fired an arrow, which sank deep into the giant's neck, but it still didn't stop him. The giant tossed the primitive man aside, and Mia shot another arrow, this time piercing the giant's back. When the giant finally fell, Mia continued to strike at his head, and the primitive man joined in the attack. Suddenly, both Mia and the primitive man were restrained. The T-Rex had clamped down on the giant's body. At that moment, they saw the Egyptian queen taking the remaining 2 eggs. To protect the eggs, the primitive man and Mia chose to surrender. They were chained up, and the T-Rex was also restrained. The small boats carried them onto the large ship and into the hold. Not long after, the primitive man and Mia were separated and locked in different cells, each in a cage. The primitive man was seething with anger, but powerless to fight back. He sat down, trying his best to calm the T-Rex. To his surprise, the giant was also locked in a cell. He glared at the giant in fury, but the giant avoided his gaze. Then, the primitive man suddenly understood something.